Welcome back to another episode of Cold Horror Reviews with me and Horrorgang. We can't talk about cold horror films without reviewing the classic Halloween. Oh, wrong movie. Directed by the one and only John Carpenter. Of all the good horror movies he's made over the years, this one and The Thing have got to be his most memorable. But before we get going, what is your favorite John Carpenter movie? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe in order to never miss out on another bad movie and cold horror movie review. While it's wrongfully credited as the very first slasher flick, it is the first one to have popularized the slasher genre, generating a long string of copycats later on. It's the story of a young boy named Michael Myers who kills his sister and then escapes the psychiatric ward years later, only to return to his hometown where he stalks a babysitter and her friends. The babysitter is played by Jamie Lee Curtis. This would lead her to becoming a scream queen because she's definitely an icon here. There are some ups but also some downs in this. I found a lot of the acting to be pretty terrible actually, and there were a lot of filler scenes which were quite boring. Sometimes it felt like Carpenter was stretching the story too much. But thankfully, it makes up with a careful use of dark shadows, which makes for a ghoulish atmosphere. For a slasher flick, it relies much more on atmosphere, tension, and suspense rather than buckets of gore. There really is minimal blood here for this type of genre, and its unforgettable score, composed by Carpenter himself, also really helps to make it scarier. Carpenter created one of the most famous horror movie villains ever, and it's funny to think that the mask that Michael is wearing is nothing more than a Captain Kirk mask, which they bought for $1.98, then painted it white and removed the eyebrows. I like it how they made Michael a killer who isn't 100% human either. There's a lingering mystery about why he kills. Why is there this murderous evil in him at such a young age? And the ending is pretty spine-chilling. I like the idea. If one is more familiar with the more recent action-packed and blood-soaked sequels and reboots which came later on, the original is quite different. It's much slower, much simpler, but way better than anything that has been put out in the later years. So yeah, I rather liked it, and I would recommend it to any horror fan, that's for sure.
Welcome back, you guys, it's me again. As you all know, we're talking about Halloween, and I'm pretty sure I wore this in the last video I did with Brian. But anyways, this is one of the best horror movies of all time, and if you're watching this, you already know that. But here's why it's great. Halloween from 1978, directed by John Carpenter, is one of the most influential horror films of all time, inspiring other countless slasher movies from the 1980s, including a huge franchise like Friday the 13th. Michael Myers is one of the most iconic faces of horror that you could ever come across. Michael Myers is the essence of evil. And of course, it's the perfect movie to watch on Halloween night. It has the perfect atmosphere, an amazing soundtrack. The low budget feel only adds to it. It makes it feel more real. Seeing Michael through his POV, like through the mask, and hearing him breathe is super creepy, and it's just a perfect horror movie. The October and Halloween setting for the film is something that is perfect and is hard to even match, but I mean, it's just an overall masterpiece from the 1970s, and like I said, one of the most influential films of all time. Everybody in the comments, I have a question for you all. If Michael Myers is not your favorite slasher, who is? In my personal opinion, Jason is my favorite slasher, and Michael is my number 2. This could be John Carpenter's masterpiece film, although he's had countless others. Great director, one of my all-time favorites. But I think Halloween 2, some days, might be just a little bit better. Thank you guys for watching and listening to me ramble on about Halloween for a second. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and peace.